Hello and welcome to my corner of the world. Today I'm going to share a little treat holder, and this came about because I was standing in the supermarket queue waiting to pay, and right by the area there they had these York Patties, and they were like 3 for $1, and I couldn't pass up a bargain, so I bought 3 and I thought I'd decide what I would do with them later. So I decided I would make this little sweet or treat holder here, where the little patty will go in like this, and then you just pop the little lid cover back in there. It all sits there really cute and pretty, and I'm going to share that with you today. So I've got my pieces of card and paper already. Now this piece of card is 8 by 3, so you can actually get 3 of these out of one piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And I've pre-scored it at, if I have it this way round, 1.5 to 5 and 5.5. And then we've got this strip, which is 1 inch by 7 inches, and again that's scored at 1.5 to 5 and 5.5. And then this piece of designer series paper, which is 2 3/4 by 2 1/4, and this is from the I think it's Pop of Paradise DSP pack. It's got Melon Mambo on the back, but on all the sheets there's black and white on one side, and then on the other side there's like black white with Melon Mambo, and you can get quite a few of these out of one sheet. So the first thing I'm going to do with my bone folder is to put my score lines in, and you need to put these firmly so that it holds its shape when you start to assemble, like that. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with my little band, and to make sure it's square, when I fold it over I'm just making sure all these are lined up level so that I end up with my nice square band. There we go. And then my last one. Perfect. So that's that. This is the long end is the flap end. So I'm just going to take my corner rounder. This is the Project Life corner rounder. I just want to take those corners off. And I'm going to do the same for the piece of designer paper. You just want to make sure you choose the right 2 corners, and that's going to be on the longest side. Like that. And then I am just going to use a little snail adhesive to stick my designer series paper down. Just line it up so I get an even border. And I don't press until I know it's in the right place, because then that still gives me time to change if I want to. There. And then to attach this band I'm going to be using some double-sided tape. This is the Tear and Stick tape, and I don't need a lot, maybe an inch and a little bit. And I'm going to put it on the 2 ends here, so that they don't hit the first score line. Like that. And then using my piercing tool I can take the tape off, backing off. I got a tiny little bit that's gone over the edge. I don't want that because it'll start snagging with my with my candy, so I'm just folded it back on itself like that. And then we're going to be, this is how it goes, like this. So we're going to be lining up this edge here with this the band, and I'm just going to make sure that the first score line matches the edge of the paper. I'm making sure that this is all square here, and again, that just shows you how you have to be careful. If my other end went and stuck, tiny little bit of paper off there, but that's fine. And then I'm going to take the other side and line up like that. Oh, come on. There we go. I'll tuck that bit in so it doesn't continue to stick out. I got a nice square piece. And then when everything's in place, then you can push it all firmly together. Okay, and that's basically it. There's your little sleeve. When you come to put your candy in, like that, it will fit in, and then this bit folds down here. So then, to do the decoration, I've got some of this lovely satin ribbon. So I am just going to wind it round, and I'm just going to tie a single knot, right over left, left over right. In the UK we call it a reef knot. Here I believe in the States they call it a square knot. Just to, that's it. I'm just going to gently pull it down to get it as flat looking as I can, and then with my ribbon scissors, like that. And I want it to one side, so I'm just going to smoosh it on up here, and it's a little bit long on that side. I'm just going to take a tiny bit off the end, so not much wastage, like that. And then to do my final bit of decoration, I am going to be using one of the butterflies from Papillon Potpourri. I chose to use this one, and then this is where my sweet treats comes from. It's Teeny Tiny Wishes. There is a greeting, a sentiment for practically every occasion in this set. It's probably one of the best investments I ever made. And so I've got my sweet treats and my butterfly, a little scrap of cardstock. Now I'm using Flirty Flamingo card, so I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo ink, and I'm going to use a scrap strip of white cardstock for my sweet treats, like that. Put away my ink so I don't stick my elbow in it. This is the new label punch from Stampin' Up, and I want to punch it toward the end of the greeting, and then with this punch, this is the Bitty Butterfly punch. So I'm just going to look, excuse me, so I know that it's lined up. So there's that one. And then I've got a 1-inch circle punch, and I'm going to just take a bit of black cardstock and cut that. And then my glimmer paper, and this is the Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper, and this is just a 1¼ inch circle. So there's our embellishments, like that. Now I'm going to use glue dots to do the assembly, and that's partly because snail, it's a lot to ask of snail to stick to this glimmer paper. So I'm just going to put one on the back of the black and then onto the glimmer paper, press firmly, and then another one on the back of the butterfly. And as I put that down, I'm going to layer this piece. Now it's probably a little bit long there, so I'm just going to trim a tiny bit off the end like that, and then I'm going to stick my butterfly there as well. There we go. And just pull the wings up a tiny bit just to give it some life. And then in we come with the treat holder. Now we want to position this so that when we put the lid, the cover down, it's going to be caught behind here. So you need to just smooch your ribbon down until it's in a good place, and I can't tell you how far that is. You're just sort of eyeballing it, and I'm going to be positioning it like that. And I want my butterfly to be all to one, you know, to be sort of sideways rather than straight up. And so I know I need to put my dimensional under this part here. Now I'm also going to put a little glue dot underneath this piece of ribbon just to hold it firm. When it has the weight of the embellishment on there, it might start moving on me, so I'm going to do that. Press it firmly down, then get a dimensional, and as I say, I want to put it towards the bottom of my butterfly, and then just hold that in place where I want it to be, and then encourage everything to move out of the way. There we go. And so there it just will slot in there. So there's that treat. There's all three of them. Now my original idea was sparked by Linda Curacao. She'd made one for cookies, which was too big for what I needed, so I started to play with some old sugar paper, craft paper, and just made up a mock-up, and got my measurements and my score lines in the right place before I started on my card. And then I made my first one, and this was my first one, and when I started to assemble it, I realized that this was really too long up here. This piece was too long. I had too much cardstock, and you can see that because of that, it's kind of all sort of wonky. It's not firm. It's not holding everything firm. So then I just rethought the measurements and took about ½ inch off. And then it fitted perfectly, and it's nice and firm. It's not all sort of wibbly wobbly like this one. It's all nice and firm. So that's basically how I work with my 3D projects. I start with the item. I got some scrap paper, and then once I know my measurements, then I'll start working on some nice cardstock and paper. Anyway, so I hope you've enjoyed this one. All the supplies are available in my online store, and there's going to be a link just down here in a few moments. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, and bye for now.